Your host, Loren Meadows of GatorBaitMedia.com with the best shoe game in the Gator media. And tonight we talk Gators football with one of our main insiders, Zach Goodall of Swamp 247, to give us his thoughts after we heard from John Summerall and the Gator football staff. Will things be different? Will things be the same? What are we hearing? And is this Gator team ready to make the jump in year one? Kurt Signetti put a lot of pressure on these guys. We'll see what happens. The basketball team rebounded with a resounding win over Texas A&M. We definitely think the Gators are the best team in the SEC, but is this a Final Four team again? A lot of things rounded into form for the basketball team, and we'll talk about it with Rob Browne of SEC Sidelines. And hopefully our young intern, Lucas Messmore, will join us to finish the show off. We'll talk a little hyper have at it with the football team and the basketball team. And the Sidelines team would like to thank our sponsors, Meldon Law, Titan MRI and Imaging. Subscribe to the Lowdown with Loren Meadows on YouTube and Facebook, as well as our partner shows on the Sidelines Live Network, The Buddy Martin Show, Gator Hoopla, Scarborough Knows, and follow yours truly on Instagram at Ohio Gator for Life and X at Real Ohio Gator. Let's get to it. A lot was going on with the football team this past week. A lot of folks talking, got to hear from the new staff, everybody from John Summerall to offensive coordinator. God, I just blew a blank. Brad White, defensive coordinator. Help me out, Zach. Offensive coordinator.
Buster Faulkner.
I was going to say Bubba Faulkner. Buster Faulkner, excuse me. And offensive line coach Phil Troutwine, Gerald Chapman, strength coach, so on and so forth. But the floor is yours, Zach. Outside of, let me say this, and this was kind of cool, and you could correct me if I'm wrong. John Summerall came in to speak, and unfortunately, the day job took me away from it. But I guess introduced himself to every member of the Gator media. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is. First,
okay.
Glad to be back with you. I know it's been a little bit.
No doubt.
I'm wearing this shirt tonight because it's been that long since I was on. Bob Weir passing away, obviously, Grateful Dead legend and bigger football fan. So shout out.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was our first. Well, not first, because John Summerall did a little press conference impromptu. Didn't get much notice about it before or in the middle of a basketball game about a month ago. Unfortunately, I wasn't going to that game. I was out covering recruiting with our recruiting guy, Tyler Harden, so I couldn't make it. But it was his first formal, in the Gator room press conference with local media. So yeah, he comes in, makes sure that he introduces himself to every person that was there, student media, longtime media, everyone in between, TV reporters, what have you. He came in, we talked to him, Buster Faulkner, Brad White that day. We got special teams coordinator Jonathan Galante, Gerald Chapman, and Rusty Witt the next time. On Monday, we talked to Joe Craddock, Phil Troutwine, and who was the last one? Why am I forgetting on the last one? Bam Hardman. So getting two Gator legacies out of the way there, too, who are now on staff. And we've got a couple more coming. We've got a press conference tomorrow with Marcus Davis, Trent McKnight, one more. And then that should leave another three coaches that I'm assuming we'll get next week. And I know that people don't really pay attention to this kind of stuff, like the media relations angle. But for one, I do want to express some appreciation for it. In the Billy Napier era, we didn't get to talk to anyone other than Billy Napier up until spring practice began. And then obviously, as you know, we didn't get to talk to coordinators throughout the season. It was just closed off. It was Billy Napier was the representation of the program. He obviously went down with that ship. This time around, John Summerall is, he's being proactive in making sure that all of these coaches have a voice. They get to come and talk to the media, do a proper introduction. It seems as though we're going to get to talk to them a lot more, even outside of this first batch of interviews. But so far, I've appreciated all of them. I feel like for the most part, and John Summerall is the perfect example of this, there's no BS. There's no fluffing. There's no, I'm not trying to say Billy Napier treated the media like we were stupid, but you could tell there was almost a condescending, maybe is not the best word, but for lack of a better term, a thought that we may not get what's going on. And also this idea that he needs to be secretive with everything he's doing and not tip his hand too much. I don't think John Summerall plays that game. And I think you see that reflected in his staff too. They're willing to answer questions diligently. They're not going to beat around the bush. And for that, so far, again, purely from a media relations standpoint, I don't think fans care about this that much. But he's willing to just come and shoot it straight with us. And I really appreciate that.
And like you said, shooting it straight. I mean, guys like Bam Hardman and Chris Foster and Brandon Harris and Joe Craddock, you mentioned Gerald Chapman, I know was there, Buster Faulkner. From a football standpoint, the questions that were asked, the answers that you were able to get, is this a team that, or is this a group of people? Excuse me, not a team, a staff that is dialed in, you think, collectively to what they're trying to do? Is there intent there, or is it just kind of a here we are, or do they really know what they're getting into, with a school like Florida?
I think it's a mix of both. The getting into, I think there's no better representation of it than Joe Craddock, because he was an offensive coordinator the last 4 years at Troy and Tulane, and he took a demotion to come to Florida to be the quarterbacks coach when all is said and done. Very first move, or one of the first moves that John Summerall makes, second move, is to go and get Buster Faulkner. And Joe Craddock, I'm sure, knew he was coming along, but John Summerall just told him like it is. Like he was going to go and get one of the premier offensive coordinators, top names on the market, and offered Joe the quarterback's coaching job. And his reaction was, I'll take whatever job you want to give me. Like I just want to come along. A, I want to continue working with you. B, I want to be at a place like Florida. And so you can see from that perspective that these guys are dialed in. They care about the task that they've taken on here, and they're willing to do the work regardless of what the label or title is, in order to make sure that the program, and John Summerall for that matter, is successful. There's an aspect to it too where I still think they're learning what they have, not how they're going to necessarily coach. I don't think they're going to change their approach, the way that they interact with the players that they've got, and the schemes largely that they run. But they're trying to figure out exactly the amount of talent they have on this team, where their strengths are, where their weaknesses are. And that's going to take time. I think that's going to last into spring, maybe fall camp. John Summerall's been honest. He wishes they were able to add more defensive linemen, interior defensive linemen for that matter. Portal is what it is. Those are expensive and hard to come by at that position. But he's willing to come out and say, listen, I have questions about different spots on this roster. He's mentioned the secondary, at least in terms of being pretty young and unproven. Obviously, you look at quarterback, young and very unproven. I think that room is combined for fewer than 200 passing attempts in their career. Aaron Philo having the most, and he's barely over 100. So they're willing to acknowledge where they just don't really know what this team is capable of yet at certain spots. And also, I think they're being honest when they tell us that they know what the strengths are too. Jaden Baugh obviously highlights that at running back. They're very confident with what they have at receiver, the two returning players in Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown, and then you add Eric Singleton on top. You can go across the roster at a couple different spots. Jack edge rusher, getting Jaden Woods back and getting KJ Ford, the high school recruit, in. They are willing to acknowledge their strengths and what they believe they are, as well as what they believe their potential weaknesses are at this point.
Yeah, no doubt. And Rob, if you look at this team, and you know, not a lot of coach speak in these press conferences, but you also have a group of people. Marcus Davis, who did a good job at Auburn with the receivers. Zach mentioned Joe Craddock, who's already been a coordinator. And then you look at the week that Caleb Banks had at the Senior Bowl. You see keeping a guy like Gerald Chapman around as well, Rob. I mean, this is a staff that, at least on paper, looks like they want to be dialed in and get things rolling right away.
Well, I mean, you say Marcus Davis did a good job at Auburn. Nobody did a good job at Auburn the last 3 years. I mean, honestly, and I like Marcus. He's out of Daytona Beach, Seabreeze, the Sand Crabs, but they're a complete miserable failure as a staff, offense, defense, and special teams.
So is he going to be a failure here in Florida? Are we throwing the flag up? Or what?
No,
red flag up?
I don't think so. I think the problem is he had no quarterback and he had no coach to help him out with that. So I think he's going to have a good chance to be successful, because I know Dave Bartu, who we have on the show every Monday, College Football Matrix, when Auburn was looking for a receivers coach, he recommended they hire Marcus Davis, and Dave knows what he's talking about. So I was throwing that out there. Buster Faulkner,
Using
like
your
said,
feelings a little bit as an Auburn fan. I get it.
Well, no. Just kind of I think the guy's a hell of a recruiter.
Right.
And he was there at a special time, and he knows the state of Florida. He knows the SEC footprint. But you know what else? If you think about this, Buster Faulkner, not considered elite, Bartu thinks the upside really lies with Brad White. And for years, people have been whispering. Say whispering. I like it when people get on a show like this when there's thousands of people that watch these things just between you and me. There's a lot of people listening. I think Buster Faulkner has as much upside as Brad White. But Brad White's the guy that everybody talked about was the Kiffin killer. Kirby would take his teams of Georgia up there, and they would leave with 4 bald tires and a $500 ticket and get out with a 13-11 win or something like that. Mm-hmm. Now, he will have better talent. But I tell you, I'm not going to make this mistake again. Billy Napier may have been a nice guy. He might have gone to church. I go to mass regularly too. That'd make me a great person. It's how I act. He was a low-energy guy. And that's what I thought from the very beginning. And I convinced myself, things are going to get better. And I said last year I thought the Gators could win 10 games based on the trajectory, the way they ended the 24 season. And I missed that one by a million miles. When it comes to John Summerall, I'm going to say exactly how I think right now. I've said it from the beginning. He was the best hire of anybody in the offseason. He's a hungry guy. He's won conference or played for the conference championship all 4 years he's been a head coach. I love it. And Dak, you get to see him. So do you. Scarbo knows, Kevin Skarbinski. People are familiar with this guy. I think Florida, I don't want to limit them to 8 games this year. I'm just curious. Philo, Buster Faulkner is the one I'm more excited about, even as much as I think Brad White's a hell of a coordinator. I know I'm wound up because I want to see Florida win again.
Right. Well, speak to that, Zach. You heard from Faulkner and I know you've done your due diligence on, you're pretty, solid on the X and O's, from that thing. You and I have had many conversations after games, unfortunately breaking down Napier, but the game, the X and O's. I'm sure you've watched with Faulkner and Brad White kind of has the proven commodity. Georgia Tech, has been good, done some good things. But with Faulkner, is this somebody that can take a Tramel Jones, an Aaron Philo, and then take a versatile guy like a Jaden Baugh and others and really put this plan together? Vernell Browne, you mentioned Singleton, we know about Dallas Wilson, healthy and those things. Is this a group that has the potential with Buster Faulkner kind of doing his thing? What do you think? What are you hearing? And after hearing Faulkner, is he somebody that I think that you think can put together a plan week in, week out? And I'm going to say this because it wasn't like Napier. The biggest thing with Napier to me was the inconsistency, the week to week, the good week, the bad week, did they even practice week? So this group being able to put a commodity on the field, all 3 phases, and let's just start with the offense. Is Faulkner somebody based on hearing guys, can we move in that direction?
Yeah, the consistency or inconsistency of Billy Napier's offense in terms of results, one thing is that it was very consistent in looking like the exact same thing over and over and over again, kind of definition of insanity, trying the same thing that's not working. And this time it'll work.
Right.
That isn't Buster Faulkner's MO whatsoever. And you just look at his teams from over the years. The offenses that he's been running at Georgia Tech are unlike anything he's run in his past. He's traditionally an air raid guy, and he came in and totally built an offense around Haynes King, who just, quite frankly, is not a fantastic quarterback. He's a fantastic athlete, fantastic football player, but you're not drafting him to be your franchise quarterback in the NFL draft. That's just not the type of player that you're getting. Yet that was one of the more dynamic offenses in college football this year and on the rise the year before, because he was malleable, because he was willing to totally change the style of offense he ran. And it comes from all of his different stops. I think that he truly has run a blend. When he was a quarterback back in the day, he was joking. He was very like pro style dink and dunk, 3, 4 yards, dare I say it, almost like the Billy Napier dream quarterback.
Right.
And as he got his coaching career started, he immediately got into the air raid. So everywhere that he's been has been a little something different. He's able to blend it. And I think he's going to do it based on the skills, talent that he has. I'm fascinated to see what it is they have in Aaron Philo at quarterback, what they can get out of Tramel Jones if he's able to take the next, jump in his game. Even Will Griffin, to see what he develops into more longer term than short term. But I think they're going to develop it not just around what they have at quarterback and the strengths there, but yeah, with Jaden Baugh, you think that this is an offense that could be successful running the ball 60% of the time. Now, I'm personally not a fan of that approach in this day and age, but in theory, like, you can with a Jaden Baugh on your team. Then you look out wide, not only to get Vernell Browne and Dallas Wilson back, but I think Eric Singleton could prove to be one of the biggest moves that any SEC team has made this year when you pair him with those two other receivers. The three guys they have as their starters, as long as they continue to meet their potential, they being Vernell and Dallas, just because they're so young and they still have more to prove. But you're looking at a really, really dynamic, trio there, a good core of receivers who do things very well, very differently. That's going to elevate the game of the quarterback. I think that he's going to call route concepts and a more aggressive passing game than Billy Napier did, if only because he's got those weapons at his disposal. It really comes down to, again, what do they have at quarterback? Because I don't think that we know truly what they have at quarterback and what they have in their offensive line. They lose 3 starters. They're not guaranteeing a job to anyone that's even returning at this point. So who's to say they may not have 4 new starters when all is said and done? I would think Najee Harris continues to start at one of the guard spots. Otherwise, it could be a totally new-looking offensive line with rebuilt depth as well. So there's 2 question marks that they're just going to have to figure out in spring and fall camp. But one way or another, again, they've got weapons at their disposal that whoever they determine is the best starter at each of these positions where there's a question mark right now, they've got a lot to build around.
Right. And competition breeds success, Rob. I mean, you talk about it coming into it and just really, I'm all about the install. I love, this is where we start to install and really start to build, and how we install and how we prepare. But I think with competition and we kind of know who's going to run out first when it's time to tote the rock. But like he said, after that, it's kind of interesting to see, what each person puts, what mark each individual position coach and things like that. But Rob, I mean, this is it's just like, this almost has to work. It's at that point, and I've said it before on this show. You guys have heard me. I mean, we are at, if we're not careful, we're going to be Nebraska kind of, territory. So, I would think that this is probably one of the more important springs, in Florida football history, when you talk about just where and just the 50-50 kind of where people are, the wait and see. And there's the only thing is like, okay, yeah, if they give Baugh the ball, we got a chance, maybe. But when you talk about the defense and everything and where this thing went over the last 4 years, I mean, it's going to be key in the spring. Those 16 practices or whatever it is now are going to be huge.
Well, you talk about Nebraska. I mean, look at Indiana basketball. Y'all know when the last time they won a national championship? 1987. Keith Smart, junior college transfer, hits a shot at the buzzer in the New Orleans Superdome, whatever they call it now. But, there's a lot of SEC schools that were good in football, but now are not any good. They're awful. And you don't have to look far. Nebraska is a state of 1.4 million people. Florida's got 23 million. Only problem I see with Florida when it comes to raising money is you've got so many people that move to Florida whose hearts are in New York or Pennsylvania or Ohio. That means their money goes back to those schools. I would love to be the chief fundraiser at the University of Florida. And I would tell those people, I'm saying, well, look, you may be from Ohio or Pennsylvania, but you live in Florida now, and if you've got a business in the state of Florida, you can endear yourself to a massive fan base by supporting the University of Florida NIL. That's just my take. So, yeah, no way Florida becomes Nebraska.
Well, I mean,
I say no way.
I mean,
I know.
I mean,
Zach doesn't remember
15.
what we remember.
Well, I mean, but I mean, let's face it, Rob. I mean,
God.
16 years.
I know
of irrelevancy. I mean, it took a worldwide pandemic for us. I mean, it pretty much was 09 to 20. I mean, and granted, I mean, it is. I mean, and I'm speaking. I mean, I'm just speaking as someone who's watching it. I mean, I'm from Ohio. There's a lot of teams that have been eaten since Tim Tebow walked through that door, and you could say maybe we're one Cam Newton stand away from maybe this not even being a discussion, or because I think if he stays, they probably win another one. But I mean, it just that whole thing is like, man. And we talked about this, Zach, and kind of segue to this. We talked about it last week, but maybe this is the question. Are we at a point where we still need to continue to preach patience, or is it time to say, man, in this day and age where we got parity and we got the transfer portal, you can kind of pick and choose and plug and play. I mean, any fan base, but one that, like Rob always points out, 500,000 living alumni, one of the richest, states in the union, all these things, flagship, top 5, no matter how you rank it, university, all these things. Is it, I mean, you write about it, is the patience over, or is it, you a native, you from here? What, I mean.
It depends on who you talk to, I guess, because some people appreciate it more than others. I mean, I think that there's room for a little bit of patience, right? We see these 1-year turnovers and think, wow, like that's achievable now. That can be done. But how many teams are doing that of the teams that are undergoing change, right? It's not as common as it is like you get that lightning in a bottle almost. So like the prospect of like a 3-year rebuild, throw that out the window. That was a bad idea on Billy Napier's part. It showed that he just wasn't prepared for what college football was turning into. But I'm willing to give a coach a year-long rebuild, that kind of window at the same time. Again, you look at the portal, right? Florida needed more interior defensive linemen badly, I think. You could probably say that at a couple different spots where they needed to invest more, get more out of the portal, and they weren't able to just because, they had a 30-player transfer class. You divvy that all up, paired with the players they had to retain, paired with the high school class, and the money's just not there. Even at some of these bigger schools, I think you would struggle to find schools that needed to fill 30-ish plus spots, but also were able to go and get top 5 player at this position, top 5, top 10, top 5, yada, yada across the board. So with that, I'm willing to give a coach a little bit of time, but certainly the idea of coming in, and I appreciate recruiting out of high school still and building the foundation of your roster that way. I think it's important. I think it's healthy. But the idea of it utilizing that as your primary resource in needing 2 to 3 years to get those players in, develop them to where they can contribute across the board and make your team a strong one. Yeah, I think that's behind us now. And you ask John Summerall, I think he'd slap anyone silly who suggests giving him patience. Maybe that is his version of coach speak.
Mm-hmm.
He has no interest in patience. He's ready to win right now, and he wants to utilize every resource at his disposal in order to make that happen.
Well, give me a number, Zach. What's patience look like? Win-loss. What does patience look like at the University of Florida? Give me a number.
I mean, I think that it starts this year and some people would jump and go crazy if this happened, I think, based on what we saw last year, 8-4, right? Because the expectation is not 8-4 at Florida. Even after this years-long stretch of mediocrity, sans 1 or 2 years now and then, you ask your average Florida fan if they'd be okay with 8-4 in a vacuum, and most would say no. They're not competing for the SEC if they're going 8-4.
I can live with 8-4.
I think that any smart fan understanding what this rebuild looks like, even with the strong foundation of talent they got back, at the end of the day, they went 4-8 last year. I wouldn't expect Florida to turn around and go 11-1, right?
Right.
But you're flipping your record. 8-4 shows tremendous progress from the product that was put on the field last year. And I think it should give people a lot more confidence than a 2-year stretch of bad football to the same coach going on a miraculous 4-game run, ending 8-5. Like, that trajectory looked really nice at the time. In hindsight, I think we can say it was a lot more luck than them being on the right track. You do that in year one under a new regime to flip it like that, and you are looking at a legitimate likelihood of 10 wins the next year, at least in my opinion.
Right. Rob, I would agree. Give me a number, and what patience, if you say we should preach patience, is 8-4 a good number, or, are we, or is that even achievable? What do you think?
I mean, it's achievable, but we grew up with wanting to go 11-1 or 12-0 or 11-0 in the 11 games. That's out the window. We talked to Wes Neighbors today, who's as connected as anybody to Alabama. He's got a son on the staff at Ole Miss, got one that played at LSU. He said, Alabama fans are thinking they're doing a good job recruiting. They're doing a good job. He goes, we just don't have the money. He goes, these Big Ten schools, the last 3 that have won the national championship have spent twice as much on NIL. And I think it's a real kick in the swimsuit area to the SEC fan bases that we better watch out. And you're going to start having team owners. Mark Cuban has owned the Dallas Mavericks. He's an Indiana grad. He was not excited. He didn't get involved with NIL till they were losing at Notre Dame last year when he asked Curt Cignetti, what do you need? I need money. Well, money was wired into the NIL account on Monday. Recruiting's a dead model. Yeah.
Right. Well, let me interject. And so if that's the case, then if I'm just now, because the money people, and we'll come back to you, Rob, the money people are not the ones buying the season tickets, sitting in the seats. So with all that said, do you kill them with numbers? When I mean money people, I'm talking about Loren Meadows. I ain't got 500,000. I ain't got 50,000, not to give to no NIL. So what I'm saying is we're talking about people like, and I'm part of the media and things like that, but I'm saying, so with that, then how do we view this? I mean, and maybe that's how do we view this now? If that's what it's going to take, the famous, Phil Knight asked Mike Bellotti way back when, what do you need? Yeah. And here came Oregon, Cuban, Cignetti, what do you need? Here it came. There's really nobody for Florida to ask, what do you need? So if we're saying that's what it is, then once again, the expectation then is what, Rob?
I mean, being a financial advisor for 35 years, I have these conversations with people that have tremendous wealth. They might support NIL, but they're going to buy a skybox. They're going to buy scholarships. They're going to sit in the Bull Gator seats. They're going to do that. But the rank and file fans, the 95, 97% of them, they might be giving $25 or $50 a month to NIL because they want to feel a sense of ownership. But you're only going to be able to go to them so many times and ask them for lots of money, $500,000, $1 million. And if you're not getting the results, the return on investment, they're not going to give to you. No. Then you're going to have a huge look. Ole Miss is brilliant. They got this Grove Collective with over 15,000 members. And I know I read the text from one of my friends that deals with a guy in California who's given him $30 million in the last 2.5 years. He didn't go to Ole Miss. That's what you got to watch out for. And I saw a comment. You got a lot of Canadians that are down in Florida too. I don't think they really care about SEC football. But here's the weird thing about Florida. I've got friends that'll go down to Sarasota and Bradenton, staying in a hotel for a week on business or something, and you've got the Big Ten network and not the SEC network. That's another thing that you got to watch out for. It starts at the top. Urban Meyer said on the show with Buddy, and he said they ran that soundbite on my morning show. You've got to have everybody perfectly aligned. President, AD, coach, fans, NIL collective, everybody. And you can't be happy with 8-4. And I'm telling you what, coaches now, after what Cignetti did, forget about it. 2 or 3 years to build it. John Summerall's right. He's going to come in and want to win right away. And he will. Yeah. I think you'll win. I mean, and even the games they lose, I don't see them getting blown out.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's got to look like football.
Yeah.
It's got to look like it can't look like it can't be making mistakes that JV teams make. Not being on the field for punt and field goal and running out when you know the clock stopped before when you should be clocking the ball. I mean, basic stuff that, and I mean, I played the game stuff that people play college football 26 and know.
Yeah.
That just cannot happen. And you definitely can't say, well, we have a player in charge of that, or, you need a mat to make people run out. You know what happened if you didn't run out when I was coaching? You got up in the morning and ran, and then you lost your position because special teams are special. I mean, Indiana showed you that as well. So, with that, give me, I guess, we're going to say this, and I know what I want to see, and then Zach, we're going to let you go. Zach, give me one thing. We go to spring practice, what's the one thing you're looking for just at first glance when this John Summerall team shows up? And, oh, by the way, have you heard what's the access going to be? Have we heard?
That was going to be my pick. My one thing.
Well, good. Yeah. You want to see more, but okay, all right. Perfect world. You get 30 minutes instead of 15. Give me, and you see actual true practice. Then what do you
get? I want to see some install. I want to even see some team drills. But what do I want to see? I mean, for me, really, I want to see the quarterbacks. I want to see the quarterbacks not only because I want to see the development in what they have in Aaron Philo and Tramel Jones in particular, but I want to see a stretched out offense, whether it's vertically, whether it's horizontally, whether it's into the middle of I want to see all of those things, actually. I feel like they barely got off the vertical stem when they were targeting receivers on all those short routes. We talked about it a bunch on the show. Right? We don't need to dive into the ability.
Yeah, let's not keep doing the Napier thing. Yeah,
but I want to see a drastic change in wide receiver utilization, quarterback aggressiveness, and just a non-predictable offense. The defense will be what it is. I'm not really too concerned about that. The scheme's going to be multiple. We'll see 3-4. We'll see 4-2-5. We might see some 4-3. It's not going to be anything, groundbreaking, in my opinion, as good as it could be. I want to see something totally new, something refreshing on offense. Most specifically, I want to see them being aggressive. I want to see them taking shots on second and medium. Just do it. Sneak one in. When you've got the look, take it. Go score points. They talk about wanting to put Buster Faulkner's ideal world, like every offensive coordinator, is to go put 100 points on the board. Well, you can't do that in 60 minutes without being aggressive, and that's exactly what I want to see.
And you definitely got to run more plays than the opponent runs, for sure.
Yeah,
no doubt. Rob, if you you kind of are now pseudo Florida fan. You've been grandfathered in, and absolutely. And the world is better when Auburn and Florida.
Yeah,
I'd love for that game to truly mean something when they go there on September the 16th. But if we all football guys, Rob, you go to a practice. You got a little carte blanche to see what you want. What do you want to see from a John Summerall spring ball practice?
I want to see a grizzled, older group of offensive linemen that are bonded, that know what they're doing, that know all their reads. That I want to see a center that is the quarterback of the offensive line. I want to see a left tackle that's going to be a high draft pick. I want to see the guys getting after it, and I want to see a few fights in practice. I mean, God bless America. We have emasculated football to the point where it's like watching Two Below with dresses. Knock the hell out of somebody, man. You know, Loren. Brendan,
well, no, you got to practice. Yeah, you got to practice hard. You got to practice full speed.
You got to hit hard.
And I know what real one-on-ones sound like.
Yeah.
So I would want to see. I want to see all the one-on-ones. I want to see pass rush. I want to see blitz pickup. I want to see one-on-ones on the perimeter because they all have a sound. And when you have a dialed-in football team, they know that this 10-minute period, it's usually not 10-minute period, but this period it's iron sharpens iron. And it don't mean I don't like you, but it means that we are going to work to make each other better, because once we line up, we all got the same shirt on and the enemy is across. We got to be dialed in and we got to be one. And I'll leave it at that. So, Zach, what you got going on? We talking to who we got tomorrow in the presser?
We got Trent McKnight, Marcus Davis, so both receiver coaches. That should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then I believe Chris Foster is our third one. We should have those three.
And what time is that tomorrow?
11.
11, okay. I'm going to see if I can slide through. It might be a little tight, though.
Please do if you can. We had
absolutely.
a very sparse crowd on Monday, so the more the merrier.
I don't think I can get I mean, it's
sparse crowd.
Yeah, crazy.
We had a good crowd last week, especially when Summerall was there. Maybe it was just other stuff going on, but we ran a little late on Monday. I'm hoping we got some more there on Wednesday.
All right. Anything you working on special, or just covering the Gators?
Just covering this transition. Now that we're getting to talk to all these guys, I want to do what they think of their position group, as well as biography stuff. So kind of double dipping on each coach as they come along. And then before we know it, spring camp starts in 3 weeks. So I don't have a ton of time for projects, but I'll try and sneak a couple out between now and then.
All right, man. Well, appreciate you joining us, Zach, man. I know you were a little under the weather last week. Glad you hopped on, man. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow, but I'll definitely see you around the beat, and always appreciate your insight, man. And looking forward to going through it with you, man, for sure. Hopefully we're smiling a lot more down on the field before we run in there after games this year.
And you're really good, Zach. I hear you on Chuck Oliver's show when I'm out biking or walking the dogs. You're really good. You are.
Thanks,
keep
man.
doing what you're doing. You are really good talent.
And good dude too, man.
Yeah.
That's what's nice too, man. A good dude and doing really big things, man. Reedy, Swamp 247. Is Zach Goodall? You might get a free Paramount Plus. I think after a year, I got mine. So you got a lot of good things going there on 247 Sports, and you get access to all the other schools and things too. So that's nice when it comes time for me to write those preview articles. But
it's great for Florida fans, especially whenever something bad happens at Florida State, because you'll get banned if you comment, but you've got access to go and read all the Florida State fans talking things in their minds and stuff.
Y'all hate them. Y'all hate Florida State.
Oh man, well, it's Georgia.
People on our board do.
It's Georgia, then Florida State for me. But
that's true. That's true.
All right, you guys. I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
No doubt.
That hit. You know what? I like there's a sound. Like when you go to the baseball park, you get there early, you hear those bats cracking.
Right. It sounds. It's funny tonight. I tell you, I got into pickleball, so I'm getting into pickleball, doing my thing.
You like it?
I'm getting nice. Oh yeah, I'm getting nice too. I mean, I'm playing everywhere. I'm going to Naples this weekend. Got my people. I'm ready. But it was funny because we were playing pretty high level game, and people were like, "Man, the sounds off those paddles," and it was high level. It was good pick. Good play, and it's the same thing in practice, man. It sounds. There's a sound. There's a sound in inside run. There's a sound in 7-on-7. And it lets you know that you got a football team that's dialed in to making each other better. We're not trying to hurt each other, anything like that. But I can come in and I can put it to you, because I need to know when I put it to you, you can handle it when the enemy puts it to you. You know what I'm saying, Rob? I mean, there has to be a tempo. And it just everybody has to move to where it's like, okay, 7-on-7, boom, 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 boom. We lined up and we are ready to go. Click, 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 boom. It's just, and that's what this team is going to have to get to. And it's funny, it kind of segue to what we're going to talk about next, but you look at the culture that Todd Golden is building. You go to a Florida practice, it sounds like championship basketball, a team that dropped some early ones, but now you see that fruit from the iron sharpening iron. I mean, I told somebody the other day, they got a good problem to have. They got some talented guys on it. They're about 7-man rotation. They got some talented guys. I mean, we had CJ Ingram a couple times on this show.
Yes.
Talented guys that I mean, they got a lot of talent. and not enough minutes. But I guarantee you could just tell the guys are going at each other to maybe get a little bit more, get a little tick. But I guarantee you the guys like CJ Ingram and Alex Lloyd and others are making Boogie Flan and Xavier Lee and Condon, because you're starting to see the play elevate at the right time. So, you saw, I don't know if you saw what they did to Texas A&M, but it was Texas A&M was bullying people.
Yeah.
They were flat out helter-skelter, what they call it, Buster Ball or Buddy Ball?
Bucky Ball.
Bucky Ball, yeah. And they literally, it was, we'll see your butt. You know what it looked like? It reminded me of, and you'll get this. Do you remember when it was, I think of two opportunities, but let's just say, remember May Day with Todd Day and Mayberry at Arkansas?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And then they ran up against that that UNLV team that had some men. Mm-hmm. And Larry Johnson looked at him and said, "You need to go get you some men." Yeah. Well, the Gators said, "I'll see your Bucky Ball and I'll raise you." And every time they broke that press, it was emphatic, like, dunks and boom and sending stuff out of there. And it was just like, it was unbelievable to see. And a guy like Boogie Flan versus that pressure, 2 turnovers. And it was just to see him slide into that point guard now, it's his second year, is unbelievable.
Well, I was thinking about this. If I'm a new football coach and I've got a 3 or 4 year contract, guaranteed, buyout and all that stuff, I'm going to coach old school. My practices are going to be so hard. They're going to remind people of the Junction Boys. Okay. We have gotten to, here's what we used to, you used to be the coaches every day. They say, yeah, I just got off the practice field. They got after it today, had a few fights. It was physical, got some guys banged up, but we're going to put them through this. So we'll be ready for these, battles on Saturday in the SEC, because you can't be soft in winning this league. We got to quit. All we hear now is, well, they don't want to offend these players because they'll hit the portal button. Good. Let them look. If you're a fan of a school that has sucked for the last 3 or 4 years, winning 4 or 5, 6 games a year, and 35 or 40 of your guys hit the portal, you ought to be celebrating. Those guys weren't any good. You can blame the coaches all you want, but the players, they've got to do their part too. I go back to Utah game in Salt Lake City, you and Brendan, in 2023. That's the game when you and it never changed from that point. That's what I remember. But you're right.
Well, they got punked.
Yeah,
they got punked.
And that's
what I'm saying. You look at the difference. Florida went, to College Station this past weekend and decided
they
ain't gonna be
ass.
no punking. Ain't gonna be no punking. This ain't no punk. And we the defending national champions. You gotta take it from us. And like I said, I was really impressed with Boogie Flan, and just really the last few games, his ability to cherish the basketball. Thomas Houck was talking about, his growth as a teammate. Mm-hmm. And just, you're starting to see the Boogie Flan that, they thought was going to be a lottery pick and things like that. And I think he should stay in school another year and really grow and develop the offense. But handling this team with a veteran front court and an emerging swing player and Thomas Houck and Xavier Lee kind of, continue to work him. But his ability to play with those guys and get the ball and still defend at a high level, it's amazing. This group is, it's like, okay, we see this, and this was a team that in year 3 really ascended to that and started to show strides. And I hope it's contagious to maybe another run. But Rob, to kind of switch the gears, you've been watching them. You saw them kind of falter against Auburn. I guess Vanderbilt beat Auburn tonight. They go to Stedman Coliseum tomorrow against Georgia. Could be a tough job. It's tough to win there. They got the Gators last year late in the season. But when you look at this team, now number 14, so you're kind of looking at the back end of that 3 line, or to get to that top 12. I like to see them even slide to the 2 as things go. But are we starting to see the makings of a team that could make its way to Indiana?
Yeah. I mean, Florida, last year I was talking to Franz Beard. We had him on the show this morning, and Franz and I were talking after the show. Last year, February 8th, when, Florida went up there and beat Auburn badly, just dominated the game. There's just nothing Auburn could do. That's when I was like, this is the best team in the country. Y'all remember me on the show last year. I said, Florida's going to win the national championship. And they did. I thought they'd win 65-62.
I booked my flight to San Antonio that day.
Yeah, not because of what I said.
Yeah, but no, I did. I really did.
But, and that's, look, Todd Golden, Franz was pointing out, he said, look, you look at other coaches in their first year. What was Golden's first year at Florida? 16 and 17?
Something
they struggled.
Like that, yeah.
Okay. It takes time. Stephen Pearl, Auburn fans are panicking. Oh, he sucks. No, he doesn't. It takes time to learn how to be a head coach. You know what? Yeah, Florida's the SEC's only hope. Arkansas, they're not going to be able to do it. They're good, but they can't do it. Florida proved they could do it last year, and they dominated Texas A&M. And A&M, they're not a talented team, but they were number one in the league. And to go on the road and get a win like that, it's the same thing. Like Fran said, it was same day, a Saturday. It was a road game at the top team in the league.
Yeah.
Same thing as last year.
Right about the same time of the year, too.
A big deal. And I love Todd Golden. That guy's so cool under pressure. And Tommy Hawk from Pennsylvania, I thought he was a 3. Fran said no, he was a 2. But the difference is, Walter Clayton Jr. Here's an example. Memphis Grizzly now. I love it. Okay, Walter Clayton, tough kid, hard ass, football player from Bartow.
Mm-hmm. Whole backcourt was football players.
Yeah.
All that. Elijah Martin was
Elijah Martin.
Play quarterback, big time quarterback in Mississippi, and I think Will Richard played receiver. Right. They all busted chops.
Yeah, and those guys were just studs. And they were not going to – nobody. Look at the game. You know what? When you win those close games at home or on the road by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, that makes you closer as a team. Mm-hmm. That bonds you in the locker room. And you start believe – Florida, did you – I know it – I sound like a 2020 guy saying this. I was over in Atlanta last year when they made it to the Final Four that weekend when Auburn played over there. Watching Florida, they were never going to lose those games.
Yeah,
they don't believe in losing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's and speaking of that, I mean just an unbelievable season. We were there. Go out and get your copy of the Golden Season by my man Franz Beard. Franz is my favorite writer. I mean, just so insightful, and I think they're going to be doing another book signing. And Buddy Martin, if you're on or if you're send me a text, give me the information. I think another book signing in Ocala coming up soon. So definitely get your copy of the Golden Season. Scan the QR code to take you right to it. And we got some folks helping us out with that. Freddie Weeby and others will be able to help you get that sent out to you and get that going for sure. But and speaking of hoops and Gator hoops, we got a new show, Rob, Gator Hoopla, hosted by our man Jeffrey Meldon of Meldon Law and Associates. And we want to thank them for their sponsorship. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, proven and skilled lawyers since 1971. Offices all up and down the Florida coast, all the way down to South Florida, as far north as Lake City, to help you with all your legal needs. If they can't help you, they'll point you in the right direction. Somebody that can help you. Still doing big things for the Florida Gators, not only the men's basketball team, but the women's basketball team as well. Got to spend some time with the Meldons at an event a couple weeks ago. See them every game, sitting courtside, both at the men and the women, just big supporters of the program. And Meldon Law, we won't back down. Now, Rob, I'm going to kind of change gears. You know, I'm petty and I don't take no stuff. So I got to put this out there. So you watch Super Bowl, Rob?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Good. I mean, if you like football, it's football. It is.
I won. I took Seattle to win.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. So Drake May didn't play great. You know, I had a problem with one of the shows putting him as the donkey of the day. Dude is a professional athlete. I don't know how you're donkey of the day and you play the worst game of your career. It happens, you know. Yeah. That's and I don't think the host on any of these shows busted chops. So had a problem with that. So to defend Drake May and anybody on the Patriots, this game is too hard for people. I really relate to Cam Newton in a way that if you can't relate, you can't debate. So we're going to leave it at that. But our friend of the show, Freddie Wiebe, basically a marketing guru, has done a great job with Spurriers and, just really making them one of the marquee, everybody comes to Spurriers to see what's going on.
Yeah.
So he made a comment, Rob, about the marketing of the NFL in choosing Bad Bunny with all the Latin speakers and the World Cup coming to the United States and things like that. Here's what I'm going to say about it. He had more streams than Taylor Swift. We got to give the NFL credit. Games in Paris next year, Madrid, Spain, Mexico, South America. It is the most popular American sport. And Freddie was right. Stop getting in your feelings about call a spade a spade. We got Rob. Rob and I don't even talk politics on this show. But we do talk right and wrong. And Rob talks about it all the time. There is a bottom line when you are investing. So take everything out of it and the fact that he is the most popular, Bad Bunny is the most popular music star with a game that's watched in 1 million countries right now. So I'm going to defend my friend Freddie Wiebe, not based on politics or anything else, that he made a marketing observation. Right? And would you agree, Rob, that the NFL is doing the marketing right? Would you say so?
Yeah, I mean, I don't let stuff like that bother. Who cares?
Right. Why are people?
I think it's kind of like Gandhi said, I will not allow other people to walk through my mind with their dirty feet. Right. If you let other people determine how you're going to feel, you're weak. And I mean, whether you like, again, the halftime show, that's when you go outside and flip the steaks. That's when you go outside and make sure the burgers hadn't been burned.
I mean, here's the thing. Okay.
I don't.
It's if I wouldn't go see Bad Bunny. It's not my thing.
I don't even know what he does.
Morgan Wallen is coming. Waylon Wallen coming to, and no offense to him, but I won't even cross 75 that day because it's going to be a madhouse. Now you give me like when Snoop and Dre, that's my stuff. You show me New Edition, The Temptations, somebody like that.
Hey,
I'm with
the Drifters. The
I'm the Spinners. I'm all that. But that's what I'm saying. It's like you get the people when they're popular. You got Michael Jackson. You had U2. Yeah. You had the Rolling Stones, and I was down in for those too.
They brought the Who back. Stones. Remember?
Yeah, I mean, but I'm down with the Rolling Stones. I mean, I got a Rolling Stone shirt in there.
Yeah.
My point is, let's just make sure we keep the main thing. And I'm bringing it back to what we talk, because isn't that what we talk about when we, like Joe Fulford, half full of the cup, just said, give me some Jason Aldean. There you go. We get him. Maybe he'll be next. Yeah. But we talk about that all the time when we do this NIL thing, Rob. Ain't that what we talking about is marketing and putting yourself in position? We got to be, that's what it is. So I have a lot of respect for Freddie Wiebe. So I wanted to put that out there. I would defend you. I would defend Buddy. I'd defend Franz. I'd defend Brendan, super producer Brendan Martin. I defend those guys because I know what they are as people. But in this regard, I also know what Freddie's doing as a businessman and things like that in this community. And I just got to put it out there, guys. Some stuff you just got to let go. You don't have to respond to everything.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I had some friends from Birmingham back in the fall called me. They were down in Florida. They stopped to go to Spurrier's. And I think Freddie Wiebe was the one. Freddie gave him a VIP tour.
Yes.
There were some friends of mine, Maury Gaston and some guys from Birmingham.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, my God, this is not some greasy diner with a bunch of old yellow urine stained paper clippings in trophy cases. I said, this is something that is like a 5-star restaurant type would have. Yeah. And they said there was 19 Gator donors upstairs, and that was the night they raised the money. But they said Spurrier's was freaking awesome. They said the food. I got a friend of our family's, John Malmo, is the greatest advertising guy, I think, in America. He's a contributor on NPR. He says, you can make changes in your business. You can put brass and walnut in, put in new windows, new carpet, new floors, and everything. But if the bathrooms are nasty and the salt shakers and the pepper shakers are greasy, you have failed.
Right. Well,
pay attention to details. I love what they do.
I mean, when you talk to Freddie, and I'm sure he kind of broke it down to him during the tour, the amount of field research that was done to make this thing work, and we could talk about that one night, even have Freddie on, because once again, though, we are talking about marketing and raising money.
Yeah.
And to me, we're talking about Florida, who, I mean, there's some good people in Florida victorious now, and it had to kind of change from the Gator Collective and kind of move. But it wasn't a great rollout. And I think that's why we're here now, not only with football, but some other sports as well. So, you know, when I have people on here, experts and people that I think know a lot more about certain things than I do, because it gives you something to actually dive into and say, okay, I'm thinking, you got me. So, and, you know, speaking of another great marketing group, the people at Titan MRI and Imaging do a great job. 2 locations in Gainesville, 1 in Lake City, serving all of Columbia County, and Valdosta, Georgia as well. No appointment, no problem. No insurance, no problem. Have a self-pay option. Large MRI machines, CT scans, X-rays, patient service, just making everybody feel right at home. If you need something, go talk to them. They can help you out. Titan MRI and Imaging, it's your choice. Rob, who you got on the show tomorrow?
Man, we got a great one. Jason Caldwell, Auburn Undercover. Cousin Shane from that SEC podcast coming on with us. It's going to be fun. Dudley Dawson, Inside Arkansas. Vince Ferrara, the sports animal. Executive producer extraordinaire, Brendan Martin. And the best audience. God, we're so blessed on this show. There's my man, One Stone Angel. Loren, we got to meet this guy. I love him.
Man.
And you know what? Here's the thing. Who cares? You know what? Stay out of politics, be in production in everything you do. How you feel, I mean, I don't care who the halftime person is. Again, go check the steaks. Don't burn my burgers. Don't burn my wings.
I always say,
and go to the bathroom.
And we got to give a shout out to my man, Joe Fulford. Don't forget Half Full and a cup of Joe on Thursday. Thursday night, 9 o'clock. Yeah, I'll be on there Thursday night as well. So
I love that.
We'll see you on there. But good dude, man. And just really appreciate everybody, man, for checking in with us and just being there. I gotta shout out my man Gene from up there in Jacksonville. See you during softball, but appreciate you guys joining us on this edition of the Lowdown with Loren Meadows. He's Rob Browne, Zach Goodall of Swamp 247 joining us as well. And I'm your host, Loren Meadows, and we'll be back next week recording live from somewhere. See you guys later. Good show.
Your kicks next week.
Yeah.